I don't have no paper. I don't have nothing, you know what I'm saying, in terms of, it's just going to really be off the dome with this type of content and information. You see Baphomet in the back, we repping 24/7, 365. But I will be recording my podcast. So for whoever who chimes in, y'all chiming in. If y'all want to leave y'all comments, y'all want to ask questions, y'all can do so. I believe this is episode 98 or 99 of my podcast. What's good, Malik? I believe this is episode 98 or 99 of my podcast. And this podcast is specifically and strictly going to be about worshiping the devil or serving the Satan, the internal rebel within yourself, to profit you. And you can get a lot done profiting or investing within yourself, the internal rebel within yourself. What's good? And so for the people who are listening to me on my podcast, from time to time I will be reaching out to people or talking to people in my comment section and stuff like that. And for the people who are in my comment section, bear with me as I go through the process of this and do my podcast. For those who have questions and things of that matter, there's that little question mark with the little bubble. If y'all want to leave y'all comments and questions there, y'all can do so. But I'm going live right now because I don't typically I typically go live after I eat or sometimes I don't even really get to that. But I want to deal with the message in the topic here of profiting from selling your soul, right? Or my personal definition and interpretation of that, or how I can visualize or utilize this interpretation of selling your soul, right? Now, of course, people look at my content, they look at me, they look at Baphomet in the back, and they think I'm on some white people stuff, or they think I'm on some weird stuff, or they think I worship the devil, or I'm demonic, or I'm satanic, or possessed by some evil spirit, or whatever the case may be. That is far from the truth. What I specialize in, for those who do not know what my content is about, and for those who do not know what my theme or my brand is about, is that I specialize in for you to become the master of your own destiny. My content is for you to help you advance spiritually, mentally, and in every particular aspect of your life, to where you can stand out and become the light of your world, to where you can become the rebel within your life, so that you can redefine your reality, so that you can benefit from your life. And a lot of people are suffering because of their ignorance. And if people, develop more and more of what it means to be God in the flesh, what it means to be the master and the alpha and omega of their own life, to really internalize, what it means to be the redeemer and savior of their life, they can go a lot farther than for them to worship a God or a Jesus outside of themselves, And so that's what I specialize with my content. I help people understand that God is not somebody outside of themselves. Jesus ain't coming back for your black ass, and nobody is coming to save you. So yeah, nobody's coming to save you. You have to be the savior and the Lord and the redeemer of your own life. You have to be the one to pick up the tools that God, the universe, supreme consciousness has left for you in order for you to advance your own life. There's an old saying that God only helps those who helps themselves. So you as a direct extension, an heir of God, a direct extension of the universe, you have to be responsible for your own life. Even for those who believe in the Bible, as a man thinketh, so shall he be. That life and death comes from the tongue, and you will profit, or rather you will, whatever you choose to eat from that comes from your mouth, that's what is going to happen. You reap what you sow. If you speak life within your life, you're going to reap the benefits of those matters. if you speak death within your life, you're going to reap the benefits of those matters as well. You know, whenever I was very like dense or very focused on making like I would say like relationship content, red pill content and stuff, it always annoyed me that the women focus on the negative in their life, the negative patterns of all the men they used to mess with or the men that they keep entertaining, and then they come out here and be like, where are all the good black men at? You know, meanwhile they are the worst example of what a woman is and what a man should look for. And then you have these men out here who claim to be high value, who, you know, trying to motivate men to get their passports and all these different matters, and claiming there ain't no good black women, and meanwhile they are the worst example of what a woman should look for and what a man should be. And so you have to be very responsible and very focused or very careful and critical of how you represent yourself as God and how you represent yourself as a person. And a lot of people get everything confused in terms of what it means to become God and what it means to understand that there is no religious concept or morality and all these different traditions and doctrines and stuff. And a lot of people, because of ignorance, they feel like they have to conform to a religion, they have to conform to a book or a Bible or a certain pathway. And though these pathways and doctrines and books, they are fundamentals for you to understand yourself, you should not submit yourself to these standards, right? You should utilize things like Christianity and Judaism and different spiritual systems to mirror yourself, see a reflection of yourself within these different stories and these different passages and different mythologies. You should not grab a hold to these subject matters or these topics or these different books or gods, because then you get stagnant. You think all there is to life is the Bible, you think Jesus is coming back, you are at the very bottom of this game of life. But if you think that you are one with God and you are an extension of God and God can use you as a vessel, you start getting up more and more on this pedestal of knowledge and information and eternal consciousness. And so it is within your right, and it is also within your purpose, to become a direct expression of that eternal consciousness. If you are not a direct expression of that eternal consciousness, what really are you doing with your life? If you're not going to be somebody who is going to profit off of your gains, off of your works, what really is there to really have in life? A lot of people demonize having materialistic things and having the cars and the money and the houses and the fame and the clout, whatever the case may be. It's okay to have these things. It is not okay for those things to control you. It is okay to have these things on earth because you was put on this earth to reap. You know, you was put on this earth to harvest. You was put on this earth to produce, to create. You was put on this earth to become the best version, the best, aspect of yourself, the best aspect of God as a human. And it would just be very disingenuous for you to be like, oh, I just want to get enough to get by. I just want to make enough money to get by. On any aspect of your life, you would never say, I just want to be smart enough to get by. I just want my kids to just be good enough to get by. Anytime that it comes to being wealthy, or when it comes to being popular, or when it comes to fame, all of a sudden we want to get all meek and humble. We start getting that slave talk. We don't want to be too much into the spotlight because we feel like we're going to fall off too quick, or it's going to be taken from our hands with the quickness and all these things that we don't learn how to preserve these things. And so for you to internalize becoming the devil's advocate, for you to internalize becoming Satan, the rebel, the adversary, you get a lot farther selling your soul, quote unquote, to the devil, right? You see this on a physical and an exoteric level with the celebrities. They sell their soul, and all of a sudden they gain all this popularity and this fame and this fortune, and it always comes at a cost. There's always going to be a sacrifice, right? We all know this. On an esoteric level, you as becoming the adversary or the rebel, you have to sacrifice the things that which are holding you back, the things that you have to detach from in terms of your limited beliefs. And this is all shadow work. I need people to understand this. All it means for you to internalize the devil or to internalize becoming the rebel is that you have to become the warrior who is fighting against the dragon. That's all that means. You are going into the depths of the darkest cave to fight the dragon, but you are not supposed to. You're not supposed to slay the dragon. See, when you listen to more so of the right hand path and the moral standpoints of Christianity and Judaism and all these different things of the happy ending, it's just you're supposed to slay the dragon, get the princess, and you live happily ever after. What you're supposed to do is you're supposed to become the beast. You're supposed to become the one who rides on top of the dragon. You know, and I think it's more dangerous for the knight to know how to tame a dragon than to slay one. You know, I think it's more dangerous for a warrior to know how to tame the beast rather than to be the beast slayer. Because how can you as a man tame a beast? How can you as a man tame a dragon? How can you have a dragon who is so powerful and have all these different potentials obey you at your command? You know? And I think that shows more, you know, it shows more significance than for you to be, oh, I slayed my beast, I slayed my flesh, all these different things, but it just keeps coming back and it keeps coming back. So you have to learn how to negotiate and internalize your lower self, your animalistic self, your beastly self, so that you can become the adversary and also becoming the Christ. And so you get a lot farther in life doing that than to consistently, it talks about in the Bible, if you have to consistently crucify the flesh. But you don't have to consistently crucify the flesh if you are one with it. You feel me? Because the flesh will never die. You can keep killing it, you can keep shunning away your desires and all these different things, but if you don't have a conversation, if you don't internalize these emotions that you keep having, it's always going to keep coming back. And a lot of people are scared to do the shadow work, so because of that, they never get anywhere in life. They will always keep relapsing because they have never accepted that aspect of themselves. The moment that you accept the deepest, darkest aspects of yourself, you will get a lot farther in life. A lot farther. So you have to go into the tunnel, the darkest tunnel, to find the light. And a lot of people, they get it misconstrued. They have a misunderstanding of what it means to be satanic and demonic and Luciferian and to embody these dark principles. To embody chaos, to embody darkness, does not mean that you internalize it just to be in it. The purpose of being in the dark is for you to cast forth your light. The darker the shadow, the brighter the light. And the brighter the light, the darker the shadow. So the more that you go into the depths of the tunnel, the brighter that you become. And you can't have light without darkness, and you cannot have darkness without light. And so it must be understood, it must be broken down, that in order for you to become the light bearer, you must embrace darkness. In order for you to become the Christ, you must go to hell. You know, you cannot experience paradise in heaven unless you first are rooted in hell. You have to understand and experience strife and stress and anxiety and trials and tribulation in order for you to truly understand peace, in order for you to truly understand balance and order. And they play hand in hand, you know? So you can't be somebody who always says, oh, I'm a Luciferian, I'm left hand path, chaos, I'm dark side, hell, Satan, all these different things, and yet anytime somebody even remotely speaks to you about the light, remotely speaks to you about the right hand path and all these different things in terms of balance of internalizing what is external, you all of a sudden think they are trying to restrict you. They're trying to hold you down. They're trying to shelter you and all these different things, when in reality it's just a different perspective of eternal consciousness. It's no different than for you to tell a Christian that they don't need to submit their life to a Bible or to a religion, because at the end of the day, it gets dogmatic. At the end of the day, it gets dogmatic. It gets, ignorant. It gets arrogance starts to come have a play in this. All these different things start to play a sector into, going too far into the light, to where you're blinded by your own arrogance. You're blinded by your own self-righteousness. And so when somebody who practices left-hand path comes across your way, or you come across their way, and you're trying to tell them about, you don't really need to submit your life to a Bible or to a Jesus. You don't really need to give your life to Christ. All of a sudden they think that, oh, you're trying to tell me that I could just live my life any type of way that I want to and just go berserk and go crazy. So for people who go too far into the left-hand path and people who go too far into the right-hand path, they are one and the same. So when you start to get fanatical about Baffy, you start to get fanatical about different, perceptions around Satan and Luciferian doctrines, you then start to sound just as ignorant as how you was when you was in the faith. And so there must be a middle ground within this information. You have to walk what is called the narrow path, because the narrow path internalizes both yin and yang, the left hand and the right hand, the light and the dark. And so you have to understand that when understanding the internal and the external reflection of supreme consciousness, this is when you find your own path. This is when you can internalize your own way, your own precepts, your own reality. This is when you create your own values. You create your own Bible. That's the true path of becoming God. The purpose of you being God does not mean that you don't have boundaries. It doesn't mean that you don't have, different things about yourself to where, like you just don't have no standards. You see what I'm saying? For you to walk the occult path, for you to be God, means that you create your own morals. You create your own values. You create your own standards, your own commandments, and within you becoming the light, you cast forth your light to the world to resonate and connect with other people. If you're becoming God and you're acting out of disorder, you're not acting in God mode. If you're out here being crazy and being an embarrassment to your family, and not in the good way in terms of like you standing up for yourself and what you believe in, but I mean like you really are causing havoc in your life. You are really causing harm to other people in your life. You're not acting in God mode. You're acting in disorder, and some people will say, well, that's an aspect of God in itself. And you could argue that, and we'll just see how well and how far your life will go. I mean, yeah, you could say that, being crazy and being ghetto and ratchet, that's an aspect of God. You could say that. Yeah, you could say that, and we'll just see how far your life will go. How far are you going to really live on in life? Let's see if the universe don't take you out. You ever heard of natural selection? Survival of the fittest? Oh, okay. Don't think that just because you God and you can do whatever you want, that you can play in traffic and not get hit. You could say that's an aspect of God, but nobody eats from a bad apple. Yeah, an apple all apples come from apple trees and all that, but nobody eats from a bad apple. So these are things that need to be understood and need to be broken down when it comes to the concepts of Luciferian doctrines and becoming Lucifer and becoming Baphomet, or internalizing these different entities who are just reflections of yourself. And people think that, to do what thou wilt and to not be subscribed to a religion means that you can really just have freedom. But true freedom is understanding who you are as God, as a human, and also understanding that you have to have standards and values in this earth. True freedom is you creating your own standards, your own religion, your own system that works for you. You see what I'm saying? Being God means that now you create your own model. You don't just shun away a system, right? You don't just shun away having commandments and having all these different boundaries and limitations, all these different things. That's not what it means to be God. But a lot of people would tell you that. A lot of people would tell you that, to be God means that you get away all these books, you get rid of all books and all these different things, and you just be. You just live life. Just live life, pal. You only live once. You just live life and do whatever the heck you want. Whatever makes you feel good. That is not what it means to be God. That is not what it means for you to become the extension of supreme consciousness. When you walk what is called the Luciferian path or the left-hand path, you are internalizing the deepest and hidden aspects of yourself and feeding those things, but also understanding these aspects within yourself. You do not cast forth yourself to darkness and you just dive deep into the deep end of the sea of chaos, expecting to have order. That's not how this game works. As somebody said in the comment section, discipline is key. You have to have discipline. You have to have good judgment. You have to have discernment. One of my favorite Dark Lords in Star Wars, he talks about evil, right? And he basically says he hates the word evil because evil, it gives off this notion that it shouldn't be understood. It should be cast away. And really, the dark side being evil, and basically he's talking about the dark side, that the dark side of the force has to be understood because it's a part of life, it's a part of nature in itself. And that really, when it comes to the dark side, it's all about survival. And not everybody can handle the dark side. Not everybody can really understand it. Not everybody can really internalize it. And not everybody can really control it. So most people stay into the light side of the force. Good church-going Christian. They love being that Bible thumper and stuff like that because they would hate to see that person in the mirror, right? They would just hate to really go back and internalize the deepest aspects of themselves. So they stay in the church. they stay in the church. They love them some Jesus and all these different things, and they just continue to deflect from those aspects of themselves. Now, I'm not saying that in the church you can't have true healing or true transformation, but a lot of people do stay into the church to run away from themselves. A lot of people do run to the church. They run to the quickest escapism out here, the quickest outlet of escapism from themselves. A lot of people have a lot of low self-esteem. I don't know what it is with Christians and low self-esteem. They go hand in hand like two peas in a pod. I would never understand it, but a lot of Christians have low self-esteem, and they internalize this concept of Jesus to run away from their anxiety, to run away from their self-depression, to run away from their whatever it might be, being bipolar, insecurities, all these different things. Instead of them internalizing and understanding these aspects of themselves and then building their self-esteem, instead they are building their self-esteem around the matters of Jesus. So it's like, I'm nobody, I'm nothing special, but Jesus came and saved the day. So they still think of themselves as low down, but Jesus. They still think of themselves as a nobody, as a low down sinner and dirty and all these different things, but Jesus, And if Jesus is the answer, it has to be a shitty question. If Jesus is the answer to your problems, if Jesus is the answer to your, iniquities and your flaws, it shows more on your hand and on your life as being really, really down and out, really down bad than anything else. Now, at the same time, you can use Jesus as a tool to transform. No more than using Buddha to reach enlightenment. No more than utilizing Haru to become heroic. But people get stuck on the tool. People get stuck on the book. People get stuck on the label. People get stuck on the concept. And they have to get back to themselves. That is the only way you're going to really, grow and reach true enlightenment and to really just be. Is you have to understand that all these different aspects of life are just reflections of yourself. You were not put here on this earth to worship a god. You were put on this earth to find your purpose of you being God as a human. Your purpose was not to subscribe to any man's religion, to any man's concept. It's for you to receive all the knowledge that you could get your hands on to then create your own concept, to create your own philosophy, and then embody it. That's all that means. But a lot of people will still be stuck on religion for the rest of their life, and they will never really truly reach true enlightenment, and much more so will never know God. Because to know thyself is to know God. And if you refuse to know yourself, all the ins and outs of yourself, you can't truly know God. You shall judge a tree by the fruit that it bears. And if a person proclaims to be a Christian, proclaims to be of the light, and all these different things, but their actions show otherwise, then you already know what type of tree that is. Because a person cannot claim to be a follower of Christ. They can't proclaim to be Christ-like and filled with the Holy Ghost, and yet they do not reap the fruits of the Spirit. And for those who do not know what the fruits of the Spirit are, it's loving kindness, it's peace, it's joy, it's sober, it's self-control, it's happiness. These are the fruits of the Spirit. And if you ever come across a Christian and they do not reap any, not even one of these fruits, then that's a problem. They are obviously not in the Spirit. And, even in the Bible, as it says, they are not of the faith. If I'm reaping more of the Spirit, of the fruits of the Spirit than you are, that says a lot more about you than me. If me with Baphomet behind me and my satanic demonic self, if I reap more of the fruits of the Spirit than you do, maybe I'm Christian. Maybe I'm a follower of Christ. Maybe I am the Christ. Maybe I embody and internalize what it truly means to be of the kingdom of heaven. And you are the Pharisee, claiming that I am, possessed by a demon or have the power of Beelzebub. But these are things that the Pharisees would tell Jesus. They proclaim Jesus to be satanic. They proclaim Jesus to be demonic and, doing all these different things in the world and all his principles being ungodly. And how ironic that you come on my platform and tell me the same thing. Do you believe Satan was trying to help humans? I think in an aspect of the story that is told in the Bible. First off, the story of Lucifer in terms of how he fell from heaven is not in the Bible. It's not biblical. These are just one of those Jewish legends that are often told, or Christian legends, I should say, because the Jews don't even believe in Satan. Or in the way that Christians believe it, I should say. They don't believe in a Satan or a Lucifer figure. They do believe in, evil spirits and things of that matter, but that's all from Yahweh. But do I believe in terms of the Christian legend of Lucifer, do I believe that Satan was trying to help people? I strongly believe that. And the legend of Lucifer fell from the heavens, because he did not want to obey man. He wanted to only obey God. you know, and he rebelled against Yahweh, and then Yahweh with his propaganda telling the world that Lucifer wanted to be like God, you know, which is crazy. But Lucifer plays as a Satan or Satan, because Satan isn't the name of a being, it's a title. It's describing who or what a person is. Satan means the opposer or the adversary. There is no devil Satan figure in the Bible from beginning to end, from Genesis to Revelation. And that might be a hard pill to swallow, because all your life you've interpreted the Bible through this concept and through this traditional concept of there being a devil figure, a man with a load of demons and having horns and a pitchfork. People think that Baffy over here is the devil. And I will ask, how do you know what the devil looks like? Where in the Bible is it depicted as the devil having horns in a tail and red skin, all these different things? But you've only gone by the propaganda. You think that the one who is depicted as an angel with wings is good, and the person who's depicted with red skin, or black skin I should say, with horns and curly hair as the bad one. Ain't that ironic? That angel cake could be white, but devil cake could be brown. And Dr. Francis Cress Welsing goes into depth on this, on the symbolism in America of how God is white and the devil is black. How we wear white to weddings and we wear black to funerals. And it's this ongoing concept that you even see, and I talk about this in previous podcasts, and y'all seen some of my reels about how this concept of the Jesus complex that we have been given from birth has allowed us to inferiorize ourselves and make us subconsciously and unconsciously see other people, white people, as superior. If you see God as a white man, you're going to see people who reflect God as superior to you. So whenever you hear black people say it don't matter what color he is, as long as he died for my sins, it don't matter what color he is. It does matter, Grandma. It does. I'm sorry. It does matter what color he is, because if a boy keeps going to church every day looking at God, and God is a white man, he's going to give more respect to that white man than his own father. He is. If you see God as a white man, you're going to give people who reflect that God more respect, more love, more value than your own mother. How can you see God as white unconsciously every single day and yet not internalize God with a white man? How can you? That don't make no type of sense, right? That would be like me every day seeing pizza as pizza. Like, even with me saying the word pizza, you already see the image, right? I say pizza, you see pizza. I say car, you see a car. It for you to say that I shouldn't see God, put it this way. If Jesus, if it doesn't matter what, what he looks like and all these different things, if I say Jesus, you automatically see a Caucasian man. For you to say that I shouldn't see Jesus as the Caucasian man as soon as I hear the word Jesus would be like for you to tell me I shouldn't see pizza when I hear the word pizza. You see what I'm saying? So it's so ingrained in us about how we even see ourselves and how we see God. This really goes deep. And this is why I have gone back to deconstructing Christianity. I've gone back to deconstructing, religious concepts concerning the matters of Jesus, because I feel like a lot of people really need to hear this, and they really need to hear the real full depths of this. And if they're not going to do the digging, I'm going to do the digging for them. If you're not going to ask the hard-hitting questions in your own mind, that's what I'm here for, because you're going to get this word today. You're going to get this work today. You're going to learn today, and you are going to have to think for once in your life. Think for yourself and ask yourself these questions. Where would I be if Africa wasn't colonized? Where would I be if the missionaries didn't hit the coast of Africa? Where would I be if we weren't enslaved and sent on these plantations? Ain't Ethiopian. So please stop saying that Christianity was in Africa before it was in Europe. Stop saying it. You cannot say that Christianity was in Africa when it was just merely not even just 5%. You know what I'm saying? Like, we're talking about just in a certain spot within Africa. Meanwhile, everybody else on the land and on the continent of Africa had hundreds, thousands of different systems that were advanced. And for you, with your Negroid self, for you to say that we didn't have advanced systems, for you to even be hesitant or to think about whether or not we had advanced systems, they already got you. Because they have already made you think that their way is the highway. That is Jesus and nobody else. And we already had our own gods and entities. We already had our connection with God. But they have made you to think otherwise. You won't even take time to look into the indigenous systems that we had, the indigenous practices that we had before Christianity. You go so far to demonizing your own culture. You go so far to demonizing voodoo and Santeria and root work. These aspects that were like these were things that we utilized from the earth. These were our natural abilities and our natural powers, and you've let the white man, you've let Caucasians, you've let your enemy trick you out of your own power. And yet you screaming to Jesus, you praising Jesus, and yet where has that got you? Oh, sure, you with your black self, you could be in the suburbs, have a nice house and everything. Look what Jesus did for me. No, that's what you did for you. But there's a church on every block in the projects, and yet the projects are getting poorer. There's more people dying. Yeah, you with your Negro self, look what Jesus got you. Got you a new Mercedes. Oh, congratulations. Oh, look what Jesus did for me. I got my promotion. Oh, yeah, okay, congratulations. There's more. There's another church being built on Martin Luther King Avenue, and 3 black boys just got offed. And I don't mean to laugh at that, but it's just so ironic that you would try and say that Jesus paved the way for you, that Jesus did all these different things for you in your individual life, and yet Jesus ain't doing a goddamn thing for the majority. And yet Negroes have the nerve to look at you in your face and say, oh no, Tyrone, we're going through this because God is punishing us. We deserved it. We deserved it, Tyrone. God is punishing us because we didn't want to listen to his law, statutes, and commandments. That's how sick we are, bro. Like, that's how sick we are as a people, to where we will use God. We will use the God that they gave us and be like, no, we deserve this. Yeah, for the mother to watch her own man get buck broken, we deserve that, Tyrone. God was punishing us. For the baby to be taken away from the mother and sold off to another family, we deserve that, Tyrone. For a woman to be pregnant and then for a man to, cut open her womb and yank the baby from her womb and stump the baby out, we deserve that, Tyrone. For the slave master to grab the baby and use it as gator bait, we deserve that, Tyrone. You see how sick we are to even think of that? If you study slavery, and I'm not even dealing with, that's just surface level. I didn't even deal with Willie Lynch. I didn't even deal with, the full effects of this. Families having to watch their father, somebody who was a masculine figure in their family, be bent over and taken advantage of. And your God authorized that? I don't know, bro. I really question, what God do you worship to where he authorized that? He was looking down on earth and was like, yeah, that'll show him. Like, what type of God do you worship? Like, really? And I know most people, most Christians, and like, this is just a Hebrew Israelite concept, but like a lot of people, they thank God for slavery. A lot of you will be surprised, but a lot of black people thank God for slavery. I heard it within the church that I even grew up in, that if it wasn't for slavery, we wouldn't have known Jesus. So at that logic, we had to be butt broken to know Jesus. We had to be broken down to know Jesus. We had to have our identity robbed from us to know Jesus. We had to have our babies ripped from the womb just to know Jesus. We had to be lesser than 3/5 of a human to know Jesus. We had to have a man, tied to one horse and tied to another horse, and then the family have to watch that man be ripped apart. We had to go through that just so that we can know Jesus. Are you fucking stupid? Like, no, really. Like, are you mentally challenged? Like really, really ponder on that. You had to go through all that hell to go to heaven. You had to go through all of that hell to get to heaven. You looking for the sweet by and by up in the sky? Swing low, sweet chariot, coming forth to carry me home. And yet they're building their heaven here. You want to hustle and grind. You with the struggle. And yet they out here making tens, thousands, hundreds of thousands, millions and billions of dollars off of you. Like really think on these things. You know what I'm saying? Like, and I'm off topic, but like, think on that. Really ponder on that. You had to suffer all these different things just to get to know Jesus. There couldn't have been a better way for Jesus to introduce himself to you. He had to break you down. You had to lose your identity. You had to lose your name, your mother tongue. You had to lose your family. You had to lose everything just so that you can get to know you some Jesus. And still be taken advantage of today. And still forgiving the slave master today. And still invite people to the cookout today. It's just very mind-boggling when you hear some of these things that you hear from your own people. That chip that Dr. Umar talks about, that chip gets activated. I think there's a chip overload in some of these Negroids. But that's neither here nor there. Let me conclude on this. In conclusion, when it concerns the matters of you internalizing darkness, you have to really internalize both light and darkness to become the best aspect of yourself, and to create a pathway and a way and a concept and a system for you that will advantage you and profit you in the long run. And for you to invest yourself in the adversary, in the rebel, will verily advance you more than for you to just get in the sweet by and by and just hold it out and play goody two shoe. You have to learn to play the game of life. You have to learn to transform and renew the mind. And if you do not control this, you won't get anywhere. You need to learn to control what you say and what you think, and also control what you hear. When you control those aspects of your life, it'll change your life forever. But a lot of us, we don't want to take the time out to educate ourselves. We just think this is all that life has to give. If God wanted me to be rich, he would have let me be rich by now. And yet the tools are in your face. If there was any time to be rich, if there was any easier time for you to profit, it's now. If there was any time for you to make multiple streams of income, it's now. Don't believe what mama and daddy had to say, what grandmama and grandpapa had to say. They lived in a certain time to where they had to internalize that struggle. They had to internalize that mindset because that's what got them by. That's what made them survive. You could be a survivor. You could be a whatever you want to be. But it's now it's time for you to step it up a notch. Now it's time for you to go to the next level. Or if you just want to be complacent and just be a slave or whatever the case is, that's up to you. If you want to just be a good worker, that's up to you. I'm not built for that. That is not my purpose. That is not what I'm put on this earth to do. I was made to flourish. I was made to be better than. I was made to be the head and not the tail. I'm made for a better purpose. That's what I truly believe, and that's what I know. So you have to make a decision in your mind. Are you put on this earth for a better purpose? And if you are, act today. Don't start tomorrow. Don't start when there's a new week. Don't start when there's a new month, a new year. Start today. Read that book that you've been, on. Watch that podcast that you said that you was going to watch on how to advance your brand and how to build a YouTube channel or Instagram or a YouTube channel, or how to make multiple passive streams of income. Do it today. Because I'm telling you right now, there is an 18-year-old, 20-year-old white kid, Asian kid, Hispanic kid out there right now who is learning these things, and in the next 6 months to 2 years, they're going to be making six figures because they chose to act today. And while you over here being the stupid Negro, I'm gonna someday. I'm just letting you over here waiting, and I'm gonna try. And you over here tussling and rustling and hustling. They're gonna be over there making money. So do it today. Act right now. Start right now. Make that video. You don't need all the little fancy gadgets and the lights and stuff. Do it today. Start now to become the best version of yourself. Or don't. Stay asleep. It's up to you. But I'm gonna just end it off there. For those who been listening to me on my podcast and been supporting my podcast episodes, I truly and highly appreciate y'all. And make sure that you like this video. Share this with a couple of people if you feel like this video or this message will help them think and advance and everything of that matter. Till next time. We out.